Let's talk about the Yankees a little bit more, and then we'll get into the Mets a little bit more to end it up. But first, let's kick it off with this Vladdy stuff. Why I think Vladdy makes more sense for the Yankees than the Mets. Why doesn't he make sense for the Mets? Like I said at the beginning of the show, when you have Juan Soto getting paid over $50 million a year, you got Francisco Lindor getting paid over $30 million a year. You got Brandon Nimmo on an 8-year deal too. You don't want to have that many aging contracts. You don't want to have Vladdy ending his deal. He's going to ask for a 13-year deal. Let's be real. He just saw Juan Soto get a 15-year deal. He's going to want at least a 13-year deal. 12, I would say, probably 11 to 13 years is what he's going to be looking for. Between 400 and maybe even 550 million. We don't know. The Mets can't afford that. They can't. Not necessarily afford because, the billionaire owner Steve Cohen, yes, but we got to be realistic. We have to be realistic. In 6 years, if the Mets had Vladdy, you'd have Juan Soto DHing or Vladdy DHing. Which one? Pick one. Because both of them are going to be DHs in 6 to 7 years. Like, be real. So that's a thing right there. Right there. Also, it handicaps you. It handicaps you from improving other areas of the team. You look at the Yankees right now. You got Garrett Cole locked up long-term. You got Aaron Judge locked up long-term, which are not bad contracts at all. Both those guys are Cy Young candidate, MVP candidate every single year. But now Max Fried on an 8-year deal. Like, they get a lot of big contracts, the Yankees. Now you look at their third baseman. It sucks. DJ LeMahieu and Oswaldo Cabrera are not great options. The Mets don't want to put themselves in that type of position. The Mets won't be able to get, a Sean Manaea on a 3-year team-friendly deal if you have 3 very large contracts. And not even that. Like I said, the DH is the biggest thing. Juan Soto will be a DH in 6 to 7 years. Vladdy will be a DH in 6 to 7 years. How do you improve your roster when you have 3 big-ass contracts and 2 guys who are going to be DH in 6 to 7 years? How do you improve the roster outside of those 3 then? How do you give a guy like Brandon Nimmo an extension? How do you give a guy like Jeff McNeil a team-friendly contract after his 2022 NL batting title? How do you give a Sean Manaea a team-friendly deal after what he did in 2024? How do you bring in some bullpen arms like A.J. Minter? Like, how? How would they do it? They can't. It's not sustainable. Like, the Mets aren't a profitable. They make profit. Don't get me wrong. They make profit. But they don't make the profit that the Yankees and the Dodgers do. The Dodgers make billions. TV deals. Multiple owners. The Yankees, they have sellout crowds every single night, even if they had 30 wins. The Yankees would be a sellout crowd every single night because when a tourist comes to New York City, what do they want to do? They want to go see a Yankee game. They want to see, they have their brand. The Yankees are already a worldwide brand. The Mets, Steve Cohen is trying to build that worldwide brand, but they are nowhere near on the level of the brand that the Yankees or the Dodgers are on. So it wouldn't make sense for them to get a Vladdy. I think it would make more sense to give a guy like Ryan Clifford a shot in a few years who they love, or you give Pete Alonso another contract if he opts out, or in 2 years if he stays, you sign him to an extension. Hopefully he does well and he proves it, and we don't even have that Vladdy problem. Now, for the Yankees, I think it makes a ton of sense. The Yankees can afford him. The Yankees can undoubtedly afford him. And they kind of need to. They need another impact bat. They need because Judge is not going to be the 50 home run Aaron Judge in 4 to 5 years. He's not. He's just not. Garrett Cole, he is 34 years old right now. In 3 years, he'll be 37. Their championship window with those 2 players, it's closing. It is closing. Even as great as they are, they're not getting any younger. So even if they don't win the World Series this year, you still need to go out there and get a young guy. A young guy, not like Juan Soto. There's only going to be so many Juan Sotos in free agency. But we've seen the Yankees make a lot of mistakes over the past few years in free agency. They let Bryce Harper slip right through their fingers. Juan Soto, obviously, too. They cannot afford to miss out on a guy like Vladdy. Or Murakami, who's coming over, who's only going to be 25 years old when he hits free age. Well, when he becomes eligible to sign with an MLB team next year. They can't afford to miss out on a guy like him. So I think the Yankees will end up with a Vladdy or Murakami in the 2026 offseason. I think it's no doubt about it. The Yankees will get another big bat next offseason. And I know Vladdy said that he hates the Yankees and he loves playing in New York, but he will never, ever, ever sign with the Yankees. But everybody has a price. Everybody has a price. We saw it with Juan Soto. We saw it with Lindor. Aaron Judge took a pay cut. But there's only how many Aaron Judges? Only one. Ohtani. Everybody has a price. Yamamoto, Blake Snell. Half the guys I'm naming are Dodgers because the Dodgers are like, hey, here you go. Here's money. Here's money. Yankees are going to end up with that big bat next year. And I think they do have a very high chance at landing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in free agency next offseason. More than the Mets. Because the Mets, it just doesn't make sense. And Mets fans, they have to stop getting so greedy. Steve Cohen is rich. Steve Cohen is a billionaire. But just because we got Juan Soto, it doesn't mean every big ticket free agent is going to sign with the Mets. It does not. It does not. And you shouldn't necessarily expect Steve Cohen just because he says all these great things. Even just yesterday he said, though, he doesn't want to have so many multi-year deals. He said it himself. There was only one Juan Soto. You can't just be handing out money the way. Just look at the 2023 Mets. You had Max Scherzer. You give Justin Verlander over $40 million. What happened? What happened? Shit hit the fan. That's what happened. So the Mets cannot afford to make that mistake again. Now the Yankees, they have a clear need. And they can afford it. They can afford it because, like I said, they have that brand. They have that sustainability. They have the ticket sales. They have the TV deal. They own Yes Network. Steve Cohen doesn't own SNY. And when tourists come to New York City, non-baseball fans, and you have a chance to go to Yankee Stadium with the rich history behind them, with Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, CC Sabathia, now a Hall of Famer, the guys in the past, obviously, as well. Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth was half the reason they have this big brand. You got the 99, the 2000, back-to-back champs. They're such a storied franchise. So non-baseball fans, as much as I hate to say it, because I'm a big Mets fan, you're going to go to a Yankees game. That's what you're going to go to. You want to be in Yankee Stadium. You want to be in Yankee Stadium. So that's why I think the Yankees are going to end up with not end up with Vladdy necessarily, but end up with a Vladdy or a Murakami, or even a Kyle Tucker. Yeah, I think they're going to be in Kyle Tucker. I think that's their plan C probably, but Kyle Tucker makes perfect sense on the Yankees. Especially if you can because Kyle Tucker, he's younger than Judge, and probably in a few years, Judge is going to be a DH, or you turn him into a first baseman. I think if you sign Vladdy, you make him the first baseman eventually, and you have Vladdy DH. Because Vladdy is by no means a great defensive first baseman. But, only time will tell. We'll see next offseason what the Yankees do. All right. Let's get into this Yankees lineup. We already discussed it a little bit, so we'll talk about it briefly. But the Yankees